started on a Tuesday, the kind that drags its feet like it's trying to avoid becoming Wednesday. I was restocking shelves in the back room of the dealership where I worked part-time. My shirt was sticking to my back. My hands smelled like cardboard and cheap soap. She walked in like the room owed her something. Tall, poised, expensive. Late 30s, maybe early 40s. Curves dressed in quiet luxury. Not flashy, just sure of herself. Hair pinned back like she hadn't had time to do it right but didn't care. No ring on her finger that day, though I knew who she was. The boss's wife. Or ex? On again, off again, no one ever knew. Everyone called her Maya like they were scared to say her full name. I'd only seen her once before, from the other side of the glass. She was arguing with him, or maybe pleading. Hard to tell. That was a month ago. Now she was here, looking for something, or maybe just avoiding something else. "Do you know anything about engines?" she asked, eyes scanning the chaos around her. "Not enough to be useful," I said. "But I fake confidence well." She laughed. The sound didn't match her posture, like it escaped without permission. She handed me a crumpled sticky note with a number written on it. I thought it was for a part order. I shoved it in my back pocket without thinking. But when I pulled it out later to actually read it, it didn't have any numbers on it. Just a line, written in slanted, careful handwriting. "Mind if I join your escape?" That's it. No name, no instructions, no smiley face or wink. Just that. The next time I saw her, it was raining. Real rain. The kind that makes your collar feel heavy and the air smell like iron. I was closing up. She was parked in the lot, in the passenger seat of a car I didn't recognize. Alone. I walked past her window, trying not to look. She knocked once. I turned. She rolled it down halfway and said, quietly, "Where would you go? If you didn't have to ask anyone?" I didn't know what she meant. Not exactly. But I knew how it felt. Like something private you weren't supposed to say out loud. So I told her, "My place. Small. Quiet. Leaks when it rains." She smiled, really smiled this time. And then she said, "Then I'll bring a bucket." We didn't talk about her husband. We didn't talk about work. She showed up the next evening, holding nothing but an umbrella and a takeout bag. We ate in silence, on the floor, cross-legged like kids hiding from the world. She kicked off her heels. I handed her dry socks. She didn't say thank you, just held the fabric to her face for a second longer than normal. I wasn't sure if she was cold, or sad, or just tired of pretending she wasn't all three. At one point, she looked at me, really looked, and reached for the edge of my sleeve. Just 2 fingers, just a brush. And then she whispered, "You haven't asked me why." I wanted to say 100 things, but instead I just said, "Stay." She didn't move. Not yet. Just stared at me. Like that word had opened a door she wasn't sure she was allowed to walk through. She stayed. Didn't say yes. Didn't nod. Just moved deeper into the room like she'd been here before. Like this wasn't a decision but a fact. I made tea. Not because either of us wanted it, but because it gave my hands something to do. From the kitchen, I could see her toes flex against the tile. Barefoot, nails chipped. She wore confidence like a borrowed coat. One she used to fill out better, maybe. Now it hung a little loose at the seams. She was sitting on the floor again, back against my bookshelf. She hadn't asked for a blanket, but I brought one anyway. She took it without a word. That silence said everything. I should have sent her home. Should have reminded her she was my boss's wife, or used to be. That he'd chewed out half the staff last month just for looking at her too long. That I'd seen him drunk in his office, muttering her name like it owed him something. But then she tucked one leg under herself and glanced up at me with that tired kind of warmth. The kind that isn't flirtation or gratitude, but something closer to permission. And all I could think about was how her hair had fallen out of its pin again. I sat near her, not touching, just close enough, Why me? I asked before I could stop myself. Her eyes stayed on the floor. You didn't look at me like I was broken, she said. Everyone else does. There it was. The drop. The shift. Something in my chest tightened, the way it does when you hear a song you didn't know meant anything to you, until it does. She looked older in that moment. Not in years, just in grief. Like she'd lived a decade inside the last few months and was still catching up with herself. You're not, I said. Broken. She gave a half smile, small and bitter. You don't know that. And maybe she was right. But I wanted to know. Wanted to sit there and peel back whatever she'd wrapped around herself to stay standing. I told myself it was just empathy. That I wasn't imagining how her knee brushed mine. That her breath didn't hitch when my hand accidentally grazed hers on the blanket. The rain had stopped, but neither of us moved. The silence between us wasn't uncomfortable. It was listening. And then she said, softly, without looking at me, do you ever wish you could press pause? Just stop the world for a while. I turned to her. Her voice cracked on pause, like the word itself cost her something. I wanted to say yes. I wanted to tell her that every time she walked into a room, it already felt like time slowed down. But all I managed was her name. Maya. She reached over. Not fully, just enough to let her fingers settle on the inside of my wrist. Warm, deliberate. Don't, she whispered. Not yet. We didn't move for a while. Her hand stayed there, light against my wrist like it was keeping time. And maybe that's what we were doing. Sitting there, counting the seconds we weren't supposed to be stealing. I could feel my pulse under her fingers. I think she felt it too. She didn't let go. The air between us had changed. Gone heavier, quieter. Like the pause before thunder. We were past casual now. Past polite. She spoke first. My mother used to tell me, she said, don't make decisions when you're lonely. That's how you end up in trouble. And are you? I asked, not looking at her. Lonely? She hesitated. Not always. She didn't explain. She didn't have to. I was close enough to see the faint smudge of mascara under her eyes. The kind you forget to wipe away when you're too tired to pretend you slept. I shifted slightly, trying to put space between us. Trying to be smart. Her hand slipped off my wrist, but her shoulder brushed mine. Skin on skin now, and I swear I felt it in my teeth. I stood up, fast. I should clean up, I mumbled. Stepping toward the kitchen like that would fix the way my thoughts were spiraling. Behind me, I heard the faint buzz of her phone on the floor. One vibration, then another. She didn't move. I glanced back. You're not gonna get that? She shook her head. It's him. There it was. The reminder. The red light. The signpost that screamed wrong way. I tried to hold on to that. Tried to remember that this wasn't some story where timing lined up and heart stayed clean. This was messy. This was hers and his and not mine. But then she stood too, slowly, and walked toward me. And she said, tell me to leave. I swallowed. Hard. Maya, just say it. Say it once and I will. Her voice didn't tremble, but her hands did. Just barely. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time I saw all the cracks she'd carefully filled in. The weariness, the ache, the need not to be admired, but understood. I stepped back, forcing a smile that didn't reach anything inside me. You should go, I said quietly. It's late. She nodded. No anger, no drama, just acceptance, like she'd expected that answer and hated that she had. She moved toward the door, grabbed her shoes, and then paused. Just before turning the handle, she looked back over her shoulder. You didn't say don't come back, she said. My mouth opened. Nothing came out. She stepped outside into the wet air. The door clicked shut behind her. But a minute later, there was another knock. Slow, soft, and when I opened it, She was standing there again. Barefoot this time. No umbrella. No words. Just looking at me like maybe I was the one who'd left something unfinished. She didn't speak. Just stood there. Hair damp, shoulders rising and falling too fast, like she'd walked back and forth in the rain before finally knocking again. I stepped aside. She walked in slowly, eyes flicking around the room like she wasn't sure it would still feel the same. Didn't. Not to me. She didn't sit this time. Neither did I. There was no music. No rain now to fill the silence. Just us. And whatever this was trying to become. She held her arms across her chest like a shield. You meant it, right? That I should go. I hesitated. She laughed under her breath. Jesus. I knew it. Maya. I said, softer than I meant to. I didn't mean I wanted you to disappear. You think I don't know what this looks like? She snapped. You're younger. I'm someone's wife. Or was. Or whatever I am now. Her voice cracked on wife. And for the first time I saw it. The shame. The edge. The way she'd been holding herself upright for weeks. Maybe months. Pretending she wasn't unraveling. I don't care what it looks like, I said. That stopped her. She stared at me, eyes glassy. Why? She asked. Why do you even care? You don't know me. I stepped forward just once. Slowly. Like any sudden move might break her. I know you smell like oranges and rain when you walk in. I know you hide your hands when you're nervous, and you chew the inside of your cheek when you're lying. I know you didn't cry when he yelled at you in front of the lot. You waited, and then drove off like you didn't care. But your hands were shaking on the wheel. She blinked. Once. Twice. I kept going. I couldn't stop now. And I know something's been pulling at you. Something quiet. Like you've been screaming inside your head for days, and no one's heard it until now. There it was. No more games. No pretending I wasn't in it now, too. She was trembling but not stepping back. Instead, she whispered, You make me feel like I'm not crazy. I exhaled. She took a small step forward, her hand grazing mine. Not an accident this time. And that scares the hell out of me, she added. We were inches apart now. No laughter. No light touches. Just this thick, terrifying honesty between us. Could have kissed her. I almost did. But instead, I asked, if I asked you to stay, not just tonight, but really stay, would you? She didn't answer. Not with words. She looked at me, eyes full, chest rising. Like I just handed her something she didn't know how to hold. She didn't say yes. Didn't say no either. Just stood there, caught between breath and decision. I was about to step back, give her room when she spoke. You don't know the whole story. Her voice was calm. Too calm. The kind of calm you use to steady yourself before setting something on fire. You remember last summer? When the dealership almost closed. I nodded. Everyone remembered. Rumors flew, people quit. The boss had gone ballistic. Then everything smoothed over like it never happened. It was my call, she said. I stopped the sale. That didn't make sense. But you weren't on the paperwork. I was. She looked at me, then looked away. I owned half. My stomach tightened. You what? Technically, he needed my signature to sell it. I gave it to him, then took it back. We fought. It got ugly. She paused. It is ugly. I tried to connect the dots. Failing. You're not just his wife, I said slowly. I was his partner. She met my eyes. And I'm the reason he still has a company. And I'm the reason he still has people to shout at. And now I understood why she never walked in like she was visiting. Because this wasn't his place. It had always been hers, too. I stepped back without meaning to. She noticed. That change how you see me? No, I said. Too fast. She tilted her head. You hesitated. I didn't answer. because she was right. Not in the way she meant, but because I could feel the ground shifting under me. This wasn't just a woman trying to leave something broken behind. This was someone who had once built the very thing I worked inside every day, and now stood at the edge of burning it down. And I was standing too close. Before I could speak, her phone buzzed again. She didn't even glance at it this time. She looked at me, really looked, and said, "If he finds out about this, about you, he'll make your life hell." I felt something rise in me, a mix of anger and something heavier. "So that's it?" I asked. "We both just pretend this didn't happen?" "I didn't say that." "Then say what you do want, Maya. Just once. Say it straight." She didn't flinch, but her voice went soft. "I want someone to choose me, without needing a reason, without needing to be rescued. Just me." The room went still. Something cracked open between us. Not passion. Something older, lonelier. I walked toward her, slowly, heart in my throat. And then a knock. Sharp, unmistakable. We both froze. Another knock. Then a voice. He kept knocking. Louder now. The voice outside no longer curious, but sharp, territorial. "Maya, I know you're in there." She turned to me, pale but steady. Her body didn't move, but something in her eyes had already started packing its bags. She was preparing to leave. I could feel it. I think she thought it would protect me. "I'll go out the back," she whispered. "No." I stepped in front of the door, not dramatic, just there, standing between what was safe and what was real. "You don't have to keep disappearing." Her lips parted like she might argue, but nothing came out. "I'm not scared of him," I said. "You should be." "I'm not." Another knock. Closer now. He was right outside the door, maybe even leaning against it. "Open up, Maya." She looked at me, torn open in a way I hadn't seen before, like all the weight she'd been carrying finally had nowhere to hide. And then she said, so quietly I almost missed it, "He used to love me, before I got hard, before I stopped shrinking for him." I took a step closer, just one. "I don't want you to shrink," I said. "I want all of it. Even the parts you think are too much." A pause. One breath. Two. Then she laughed. Not the pretty kind. The kind that sounds like it's breaking something on the way out. "You're too young to mean that." "Maybe, but I still do." We stood there, suspended. The knock didn't come again. Only silence now. And her eyes, full of disbelief, fear, and something close to hope. She crossed the room slowly and took my hand. It was small, simple, but it felt like something irreversible. She looked at me and said, "If I open that door, I lose this. Whatever this is between us. Then don't open it. And if I stay, then we stop hiding." Her fingers gripped mine. "And if it all falls apart?" I leaned forward, my voice close to her ear. "Then we build something better." We stood there, hands still joined. Outside, footsteps backed away. The car door slammed. Engine roared. He was gone. Just like that. Maya exhaled like she hadn't in years. And then, for the first time since she stepped back into my place, she smiled. Not carefully, not politely, but fully. "I'm tired," she whispered. "Then stay," I said, "and rest." We didn't talk much that night. She stayed, curled into the edge of my couch with her knees to her chest, wrapped in the same blanket she once held like a shield. I sat across from her, barely breathing, like sound itself might break whatever fragile peace had landed between us. Outside, the rain had started again, softer this time, like the sky had let go of something, too. In the morning, she was still there. She made coffee, badly. She burned the toast. I didn't care. We moved around each other like people learning how to share space again. Not like strangers, not like lovers, but something in between. Something forming. Maya didn't bring up the knock, or her husband, or the company, and neither did I. Because some things don't need more words, they just need space to heal. By the end of the week, she'd gone back to her apartment. Not because we ended, but because we both needed time. Time to let it be real. Not adrenaline. Not escape. Not fantasy. But something we chose with open eyes. She called me on a Thursday. Said she'd met with a lawyer. She was letting go of her share in the business. Said she was tired of holding up something that had stopped being hers a long time ago. Then she said, I want a clean life. Not a small one. Clean one. You understand. I told her I did. Because I did. Now, months later, she comes by on Fridays. Always with a new book she won't let me borrow unless I promise to actually read it. She still burns the toast. I still pretend not to notice. She talks more now. Laughs easier. She doesn't hide her hands when she's nervous anymore. And me? I don't wait for something to ruin it. Because I finally learned the difference between forbidden and worth the risk. This story wasn't about some scandal. It wasn't about age or power or rebellion. It was about two people who met at the wrong time and decided not to waste the right one when it finally came.